So good day. Today we're going to discuss the first voyage around the world by Magellan by Antonio Pigafetta. So this Pigafetta's work instantly became a classic that prominent literary men in the West like William Shakespeare, Michel Montem, and Giambattista Vico referred to the book in their interpretation of the New World. So now, before we proceed, we have a quick background of Antonio Pigafetta. So Antonio Pigafetta born sometime in the closing year of the 15th century. He studied astronomy, geography, and even cartography. He used cartography in his skills and documenting his journey. So he served on board the ships of the Knight of Rhodes at the beginning of the 16th century. Accompanied Ferdinand Magellan together with Juan Sebastian Elcano in the famous expedition to Malacca, which began in August 1519 ended in September 1522. So, the first voyage around the world by Antonio Pigafetta was written on board one of the five ships that was first circumnavigate the world during an expedition that was led the Portuguese explorer Ferdinand Magellan, and after his death during the voyage by Juan Sebastian Elcano, the expedition started in 1519 and ended in Spain in 1522. So, ang five ships, yan yung mga Trinidad, San Antonio, Concepcion, Victoria, and Santiago. At si Juan Sebastian Elcano, siya yung nagtapos at nagdala ng tagumpay. Pinamunuan niya rin ang Victoria hanggang sa makabalik sila. This travelogue of Pigafetta is one of the most important primary sources in the study of the pre-colonial Philippines. So, tinawag siyang primary sources kasi si Pigafetta kasama siya nung naglayag sila, nung nilibot nila ang world, kasama siya doon at mismo nasaksiyan niya yung mga nangyari kaya sinabi siya na primary sources. His account was also a major reference to the events leading to Magellan's arrival in the Philippines, his encounter with local leaders, his death in the hands of Lapu-Lapu's forces in the Battle of Mactan, and in the departure of what was left of Magellan's fleet from the islands. Examining the document reveals several insights, not just in the characters of the Philippines during the pre-colonial period, but also in how the fresh eyes of the Europeans regard a deeply unfamiliar terrain, environment, people, and culture. Students of history need to realize that primary sources used in the subsequent with histories depart from certain perspectives. Thus, Pigafetta's account was also written from the perspectives of Pigafetta himself and was a product of the context of its production. The first voyage around the world by Magellan was published after Pigafetta returned to Italy. So, si Pigafetta, naka-return siya sa Italy noong 1523. In this chapter, we will focus on the chronicles of Antonio Pigafetta as he wrote his first-hand observation and general impression of the Far East, including their experiences in the Visayas. In Pigafetta's account, their fleet reached what he called the Ladrones Islands of Thieves. Pigafetta recounted, these people have no arms but use sticks, which have fishbone at the end. They are poor but ingenious, and great thieves, and for the sake of that we call these three islands the Ladrones Islands. So, tinawag ng Ladrones Island kasi may mga lokal na kinuha ang ilang gamit sa bangka ni Magellan. The Ladrones Islands is presently known as the Marianas Islands. These islands are located south-southwest of Japan, west-southwest of Hawaii, north of New Guinea, and east of Philippines. The fleet went to Humuno Islands, known as Hunhon, and there they found what Pigafetta referred to as the watering place of gold signs, It is in this place where Pigafetta wrote that they found the first signs of gold in the islands. They named the island with the nearby islands as the archipelago of St. Lazarus. So, ang Humano Islands, ito yung pinakaunang pinuntahan ni Magellan sa Pilipinas noong 1521. At ang archipelago of St. Lazarus, tinawag siyang ganon dahil nung dumating siya dito sa ay araw ng kapistahan ni St. Lazarus. As they continued their journey, nearby island, here he met two kings. The first king was Raha Shago, and the other king was Raha Colombo, king of Zuluan and Calagan, now known as Butuan and Caraguan. One day, Magellan ordered the chaplain to preside a mass by shore. So, ang two kings pala, sila yung mga naging gabay ni Magellan papuntang Cebu. The two kings heard of this plan and sent two dead pigs and attended the mass. Gafita reported that the two kings attended the mass. He wrote, when the offertory of the mass came, the two kings went to kiss the cross like us, but they offered nothing. And at the elevation of the body of our Lord, they were kneeling like us and adored our Lord with joined hands. After the Mass, Magellan ordered that the cross be brought with nails and crown in place. The king concurred and allowed for the cross to be planted. This mass would go down in history as the first mass in the Philippines. In the cross would be their famed Magellan's cross is still preserved at present day in Cebu City. The king of Cebu was then baptized as Christians in Pigafetta route to that the king and all his people answered that they would obey the commands of captain and do all that he told them. The captain took the king by hand, and they walked about the scaffolding, and when he was baptized, he said that he would name him Don Charles Carlos. As the emperor, his sovereign was named, and he named the Prince Don Ferdinand as Fernando, after the brother of emperor and the king of Mazawa, Jehan. To the more he gave the name of Christopher, and to the others it's a name of his fancy. A principal man from the islands of Matan, known as Mactan, by the name of Zula, went to see Magellan and asked him to fight the chief named si Lapu-Lapu, known as Lapu-Lapu. Magellan agreed and expressed to go to Mactan himself to fight the said chief. So si Zola, siya yung gusto makipag-friends kay Magellan pero tutol dito si Lapu-Lapu. Siya rin ang pumunta at nagpakita kay Magellan na nagsabi na labanan niya ang chief nila na si Lapu-Lapu. Magellan's forces arrived in Mactan in daylight. They numbered 49 in total, and the slanders of Mactan were estimated to number 1,500, and the battle began. Outnumbered 49 to 1,500, Magellan died in that battle. Pigafetta recounted the last moments of Magellan, whilst the Indians were thus overpowering him. Several times he turned round towards us to see if we were all in safety, as though his obstinate fight had no other object than to give opportunity for the retreat of his men. Pigafetta also said that the king of Cebu, who was baptized, could have sent help, but Magellan instructed him not to join the battle and stay in the balangay so that he would say how they fought. Magellan's men elected Duarte Barbosa as the new captain. Pigafetta also told how Magellan's slave and interpreter named Henry betrayed them and told the king of Cebu that they intended to leave as quickly as possible. So si Duarte Barbosa inelect ng mga men ni Magellan's ay namatay din siya sa Cebu. So the natives had slain all of the men except the interpreter and Juan Serrano. Serrano was presented and shouted at the men in the ship, asking them to pay ransom so he could be spared. However, they refused and would not allow anyone to go to the shore. The fleet departed and abandoned Serrano. They left Cebu and continued their journey around the world.
Good day everyone. Today I will discuss the analysis of Pigafetta's Chronicle. Pigafetta's Chronicle, one of the earliest written accounts on the Philippines, considered a credible source for pre-colonial society, provided detailed documentation of events. Isa sa pinakaunang written accounts tungkol sa Pilipinas ay Chronicle ni Pigafetta. Maraming historian ang naniniwala na reliable ito kasi first-hand details galing sa expedition ni Magellan. Dito nakasulat yung description ng lupa, tao at kultura na nakita niya, kaya mahalaga ito basahin para makita ang pananaw ng unang Kastila sa atin. Importance to historians. Used to study early Philippine history, believed to reflect the purest features of pre-colonial society. Great importance in understanding social and cultural life. Ginagamit ito ng historian para maintindihan ang buhay ng mga Pilipino bago dumating ang mga Kastila. Sa Chronicle makikita yung kultura, lipunan at pamumuhay ng unang panahon na hindi pa colonized. Need for nuanced reading. Must be read within its historical context. Pigafetta was a European from the 16th century. His perspective shaped how he described people and events. Pero kahit mahalaga, hindi ibig sabihin neutral ito. Dapat basahin na may context kasi si Pigafetta ay European. Ang perspective niya ay dala ng kultura at panahon niya, kaya iba yung lens na ginamit niya sa pag-describe ng mga tao dito. Pigafetta's perspective. Member of Spanish expedition, loyal to Spain. Scholar of cartography and geography. Influenced by his noble background and Christian worldview. Siya ay loyal sa Spain at sa Catholic Church. Isa rin siyang educated sa geography at cartography. Dahil galing siya sa noble family, natural na nadala niya ang biases ng pagiging European. Kaya minsan, yung account niya ay pumapabor sa values ng Europe. Observations of the natives. So indigenous belief system as inferior to Christianity, fascinated by exotic culture but judged them using European standards. Emphasized natives' lack of knowledge of European weapons and goods. Na-curious siya sa kultura ng mga natives pero lagi niya itong tinitingnan gamit ang pamantayan ng Europe. Para sa kanya, mas mahaba ang religion ng mga tao dito kaysa sa Christianity. Napansin niya rin na kulang daw sila sa weapons at gamit. Mas nakikita niya yung walang kumpara sa strength ng mga tao. Cultural biases. Did not see that native attire was suitable for the climate. Treated local materials like bamboo and palm as primitive. View abundance of gold as proof of wealth, ignoring local context. Lumalabas lalo ang bias niya sa iba't ibang bagay. Akala niya kulang ang damit ng mga tao, pero tama lang yun para sa klima. Para sa kanya, primitive ang bamboo at nipa houses, pero sa totoong practical at matibay naman ang mga ito. At sobra siyang nakafocus sa gold, imbis na makita ang cultural value nito. European context. Europe dominated by a Holy Roman Empire and the Catholic Church. Non-Christian practices often labeled as barbaric or evil. Spain's mercantilist system valued wealth in gold and silver. Para mas maintindihan, ang sulat niya, kailangan alamin natin ang Europe noon. Malakas ang impluwensya ng Holy Roman Empire at ng Catholic Church. Ang mga hindi Christian, tinatawag agad na barbaric. At sa Spain naman, mercantilism ang sistema kaya gold at silver ang sukatan ng power. Obsession wealth. Spain searched for spices, gold, and trade resources. Pigafetta admired island with abundant gold. His description reflected Spain's hunger for power and resources. Kaya madalas niyang banggitin yung mga lugar ng maraming ginto. Ang Spain kasi naghahanap ng spices, yaman at resources para palakasin ang empire nila. Yung admiration niya sa gold ay hindi lang personal kundi reflection ng goals ng Spain. Kaya ang account niya ay nakatali sa paghahangad ng kapangyarihan. Conclusion. Pigafetta's chronicle is valuable but biased. Must understand his identity, loyalties, and perspective. A qualified reading requires awareness of European motives and context. Mahalaga ang isinulat ni Pigafetta kasi nagbibigay ito ng rare na view ng early Philippines. Pero hindi ito neutral dahil dala niya ang identity at paniniwala niya bilang European. Kailangan laging basahin critically para makita ang alin ang fact at alin ang bias. Doon makikita ang balanse ng view ng history.